Hello everyone, let me take this moment and welcome you into MJ School of Mining and Geology YouTube channel. Today we are unraveling the secrets of the early oceanic and continental crust. These rocks are known as the Barberton Greenstone Belt, and these rocks captured the world's attention since they are most studied rocks amongst the other greenstone belts, and they contain or they have almost complete record of the rock types found within the greenstone belts. Stay tuned to hear more about this interesting topic. Please don't forget to subscribe, to like, share, and comment so that we keep producing this kind of content. Let us dive right into today's topic. These are known as the Barberton Mountains right in Mpumalanga province. And this Barberton Mountain land has emerged as one of the classic terrains for the study of the Earth's ancient crust. These include some of the earliest life forms. We know that the earliest life forms were found right in the Barberton Greenstone Belt, such as the carbon specks. These mountains offers the geologists a unique opportunity to study the early stages in the evolution of the Earth. So that is to say, if we want to understand the evolution of the early Earth, we use the Barberton as the frame of reference. We use the Barberton to understand or to unravel the ancient history of our Earth. But now these are greenstone belts. These are the examples of the greenstone belts, and we know that the greenstone belts are the ancient remnants of oceanic crust, which are characterized by the green color because of the facies green schist. And these rocks they occur between the TTGs, or within or between the granite gneisses. The studies of these rocks offer deep insight into many aspects of terrestrial differentiation, especially the early evolution of oceanic and continental crust, the seas, and the atmosphere. So if we want to understand the evolution of the Earth, we use the Barberton Mountains. We take our studies into right in the Barberton supergroup. Then we will be able to understand the evolution of our early oceanic crust and continental crust, the seas, and also the atmosphere. The Barberton Greenstone Belts, they were dated between 3.5 to 3.2 billion years. And these rocks, they are mafic to ultramafic, together with metasedimentary rocks, which were deposited and emplaced right, or they occur basically within the TTGs or granite gneisses. And these rocks were dated at about 3.5 to 3.2 billion years. Barberton Greenstone Belt, like I said, or like I mentioned earlier on, that these rocks are most studied, and they contain or they have almost complete record of all the rock types that we expect to find within the greenstone belts. And Barberton Greenstone Belt, it's used as the frame of reference, same as the Bushveld complex. So we know that because of it contains the almost complete record of all the rock types we expect to find within the Greenstone Belts. We use it as the frame of reference. That is to say, everyone who needs to understand the formation of the Greenstone Belts, they use the Barberton. The Barberton Greenstone Belt, as you can see, it consists of the Onverwacht group, which is divided into lower and upper Onverwacht groups, Fichte and Moody's groups. So it means that the Barberton supergroup, it comprises 3 groups, mainly Onverwacht, Fichte group, and Moody's group. The rocks of the Barberton mountainland consist of 2 main components: a layered pile of volcanic and sedimentary rocks, perhaps 20 kilometers thick, known as the Barberton supergroup, which is why I'm saying that this supergroup, it comprises 3 groups. And this is enveloped. This occurs within the granodiorite and granite batholiths, or it occurs within, or it is kept right within the TTGs. But now, these rocks were originally horizontal, but because of the effect of tectonic deformation, they end up being folded, forming what we call synclinal structures or some synclines, which is why now these rocks, they are unrecognizable because they are old, and then because of their age, they have experienced several tectonic deformations, which is why they are very complex rocks. The rocks of this region represent the best preserved example of the Earth's ancient oceanic and continental crust. And this crust formed between 3.6 and 3 million years. The stratigraphy of the Barberton supergroup, as I've mentioned before, that this supergroup, it comprises 3 groups: Onverwacht, Fichte, and Moody's. But now, Onverwacht, it is divided into 2 parts, that is to say, lower Onverwacht and upper Onverwacht. But now, these 2 But now these 2 parts of the Onverwacht, they are divided mainly by metal marker. I will show you with time what are we talking about. They are divided by metal marker, and then on top of the upper Onverwacht, we find the Fichte group. Then on top of the Fichte group, we find the uppermost group of the Barberton supergroup, known as the Moody's group. Which is why we're saying the layered rocks forming the Barberton supergroup have been subdivided into discrete packages. It means these groups, they have got rocks of different characteristics, wherein we've got the oldest lowermost group known as the Onverwacht, and it is divided into 2 parts, wherein the lower part is made up of some volcanic rocks which are mafic to ultramafic in composition, and these rocks are known as skomatiite and represent the former ocean crust. I will explain using the pictures what are we talking about when we say the lower Onverwacht. It is made up of volcanic rocks known as skomatiite, and these rocks, they represent the former ocean crust. It is separated from the overlying volcanic rocks, or separated from the upper Onverwacht by what we call a metal marker. Metal marker, it's nothing but we can think of it as like pelagic sediments. We can think of pelagic sediments when we think of metal marker. That is to say, these it's rich in silica and basically the sediments, silica and iron oxide. And then sediments also now accumulated in deep water trenches. All right, but I will show you with pictures when we'll be explaining the formation of the Barberton supergroup, because now I would think you may not get my point when I'm explaining them now. But now stay tuned and be patient. I'm gonna explain to you what I am talking about. So on top of the upper Onverwacht, we've got the fig tree group rocks, which are occurring within the trenches, a deeper part of the ocean known as the trenches. So we find rocks such as tubidites and grey waves. These rocks are highly unsorted. And then why are they unsorted? Because now they were formed by what you call turbidity current. They were formed by turbidity current, as now the turbidity current was tumbling on the mountainous region, okay, or on the island arcs, now going right into the trenches. And then now these rocks are unsorted because they were deposited at the same time, at the same place. Not by so doing, they did not allow the sediments or the particles to be or the plastic materials basically to be sorted. So which is why we say unsorted. But now finally, at long last, as time progresses, we had the ocean exposing the land. Now when the land is exposed, we're talking regression. The land is exposed now, and we know, according to the principle of uniformitarianism, it says the presence is the key to the past. That is to say, since now the rain, we are experiencing the rainfall, it means even in the past the rain was precipitating. Now because the land was exposed, and then the rain was also taking place, and then we are expecting clastic sedimentary rocks in the Moody's group. So that is this basically represent the Barberton supergroup. Now these three pictures, they explain fully the formation of the Barberton Greenstone Belt. Remember, we said the Barberton supergroup comprises three groups: the Onverwacht, divided into lower Onverwacht and upper Onverwacht. But now between lower and upper Onverwacht, we've got the metal marker, iron oxide and silica-rich sediments. Now I want to explain to you why are we having that kind of a stratigraphy. All right, then the secret lies in its formation. So basically everything started right here. That is to say, we had a komatiite magma intruding which intruded into the axis of mid-oceanic ridge. You see, we had a komatiite magma which intruded the axis of the mid-oceanic ridge. Now, that in itself, it formed pilolavas and new oceanic crust. We know that in the mid-oceanic ridge, that's where a new oceanic crust is forming. But because of the spreading, the older rocks at the mid-oceanic ridge are found far away from the mid-oceanic ridge. And so that komatiite magma, okay, before we know that the mid-oceanic ridges these days, they comprises basaltic magma. So the ancient Earth, it had a complete different magmatic composition. So by then we had a komatiite magma which intruded into the axis of mid-oceanic ridge, forming pilolavas and new oceanic crust. Now, those pilolavas and new oceanic crust, they are referred to as the lower Onverwacht of the Barberton supergroup. Okay, so in your mind, picture now forming picture the lower Onverwacht being formed. All right, now as this crust it's moving away, or as this crust moved away from the ridge, the pilolavas became buried by a layer of chemically precipitated iron oxide and plus silica. Okay, so the lower Onverwacht, as it was, we know that the mid-oceanic ridges, the oceanic crust is pushed away. Okay, the oceanic crust is pushed away by the older oceanic crust is pushed away by the newly formed oceanic crust. Now, as it was pushed away, we had the iron oxide and silica sediments, silica-rich sediments, which buried that lower Onverwacht. And this layer of chemically precipitated iron oxide and silica is known as the metal marker, which is why the metal marker is overlying the lower Onverwacht. Now, moving right on, we have this oceanic crust. Remember now, we had the oceanic crust. Then on top of this oceanic crust, we had iron oxide and silica. All right. Now, oceanic crust was simultaneously being subducted. That is to say, the oceanic crust, together with these pelagic sediments or the layer of iron oxide and silica, they were simultaneously being subducted, and water released caused local melting. We know in igneous petrology, we are talking what's this kind of melting? Flux melting. Yeah, I remember flux melting. That is to say, as this oceanic crust, together with the layer of iron oxide and silica, which was, deposited right on top of this oceanic crust, together they were subducted, as indicated here in the picture. Now, as these rocks were now being subducted, but we know that the rocks are poor conductors of heat. It means as this thing is being subducted, temperature is no longer playing a role. All right. But now, because these sediments, they've got some pore spaces, okay, which traps water, Now, because of the temperature is no longer what can I say? It's no longer a major. It's no longer playing a major role as subduction, as this oceanic crust together with the layer of iron oxide and silica being subducted. The heat is no longer playing a major role. But what is playing a major role is pressure. Now the pressure will force the water to be squeezed out. All right. Now to be squeezed out, lowering the melting temperature of the metal. All right. Now that causes what we call flux melting. It means now the metal melts. All right. And then now, because of the melt and because of the buoyancy, the melt will rise. All right. Now, like I said, the water will be released, causing local melting. This produces the basalt and the granodiorite magmas. This produces the basalt and the granodiorite magmas, some of which erupted on the ocean floor. You can now see that some of these erupting magma, they erupted right on the ocean floor. Then now, if they are erupting on the ocean floor, what are they doing? You've guessed it right. Yes, they are burying the metal marker. They are burying the metal marker. Now, where these basalts and the granodiorite magmas are erupting onto the ocean floor, burying the metal marker here, basalts here. This is termed the upper Onverwacht, which is why the upper Onverwacht is right on top of the metal marker. All right. Now, the granodiorite magma will also crystallize, okay, or the granodiorite magma also crystallized in the crust. All right, it also crystallized in the crust, forming some plutons. And then these plutons, for example, I can mention what we call the Cap Valley Pluton. Okay, the Cap Valley Pluton. Now, you'd agree with me that now we've got some volcanoes. Okay, we also have got some volcanoes. Now, the volcanoes will be emerging from the sea, forming what we call ancient island arcs. The volcanoes will be emerging. Can you now see? Look at the sea level. Look at the sea level. You see now some of the volcanoes are emerging from the sea, or the volcanoes are emerged from the sea, forming what we call the ancient island arcs. Now, ladies and gentlemen, moving right on, we had the sediments All right, because now we formed this island arcs, and we know that as we are forming the island arcs, these island arcs will be exposed to weathering processes. Now, if these island arcs, they are exposed because of their height, they are exposed to the weathering processes, you'd agree with me that now these island arcs will be eroded. All right, and then the sediment eroded from these island arcs will be deposited right into the trenches. Okay, or these sediments was deposited in adjacent ocean trenches. All right. But now you'd agree with me that we see this slope. Okay, the slope from the island arcs. The slope is like this. But now, because we had the water, now when these sediments are moving down the slope within the water, that is what we call it moves by the under the influence of gravity, or what we call the turbidity current. All right, now these sediments will be deposited right within these trenches. Okay, these trenches now forming what we call some turbidite and greywacke. All right, and then now that it represents when we are forming these turbidite and greywacke, that is represented by what you call the fig tree group. All right, now as time progresses, we had these granodiorite plutons, which now can now see. We had these granodiorite we had these granodiorite plutons, which rendered the island arcs buoyant, and they could have or they could not be subducted. It means now what comes into our mind is if it wasn't because of these granodiorite plutons, if it wasn't because of these granodiorite plutons, then these island arcs were gonna be subducted, or they were gonna be easily subducted. But now, thanks to these granodiorite plutons, because now they rendered the island arcs buoyant. Okay, and then these island arcs, they were no longer subducted. It's like now they were floating there for quite some time. All right. Now, because we had these island arcs which were no longer being subducted, now you'd agree with me that with time we had a collision of island arcs. Now, why? Because as you can see, we are destroying the ocean crust right at the middle of these island arcs. Okay, of these two island arcs. Then we are destroying this ocean crust. Then as these things, they are coming closer towards each other, we are destroying the ocean crust. But remember, we are still having the sediments, right? The sediments wedged or trapped between these island arcs. But now, as we keep on destroying this ocean crust, now we allow the collision of these island arcs, because we've destroyed the major thing which was disturbing them to meet. But because as they are with the strong forces, as they are coming towards each other, they were simultaneously destroying the ocean crust. Now, collision of island arcs resulted in what we call amalgamation and crustal thickening, forming the first microcontinents. Wow, this is very interesting. Oh, it means that's where the microcontinents came into picture. The microcontinents, they came into picture because of we were destroying this oceanic crust, allowing these piled up island arcs piled up island arcs. Now these island arcs, they were heading towards each other, colliding and then amalgamating and thickening the crust, causing what we call the microcontinents or the first microcontinents. So the sediment shared by the amalgamated and now deeply eroded island arcs included the pebbles of granodiorite and abundant sand that was deposited in the rivers. Okay, and not only in the rivers, also in the shallow seas. Okay, and on and around these growing microcontinents. Okay, so what we are trying to say is that we had these sediments shared by amalgamation process, and now deeply eroded island arcs included the pebbles of granodiorite and abundant sand that was deposited in rivers, seas, and on and around the growing microcontinent. And these sediments, I know you guessed it right. Yes, that's what we call the Moody's group. I would always explain to people in this fashion. This is now what we're talking about when we say we're destroying the oceanic crust, now allowing these things to be in contact. But now, notice this. Notice something in this picture. Between these island arcs, we were having water here. But now, look at picture 2. We're no longer having water. Then I was always explaining to people that if you don't want to forget this Moody's group, just say, Moody's, moods. The ocean, it's like the ocean, it was moody, and then it took away its some of its water, and then some of the water was stored in dams, rivers, and also into these trenches. All right. Now, you'd agree with me that now we have exposed the land. If we have exposed the land, and the rain was precipitating, then you'd agree with me that we would have now these rivers transporting sediments into transporting plastic sediments, sand particles, pebbles, cobbles, gravels, you know, and then now these are typical class which defines what we call clastic sedimentary rocks. And you'd agree with me that we're talking conglomerate, we're talking sandstones, all right? So it means Moody's group is defined mainly by clastic sedimentary rocks. Okay, so I hope I'm making sense now. But later, because these rocks are old, these rocks are old. They have experienced multiple tectonic deformations. So when initially they were deposited, according to Nicholas Steno, who says, no, man, the sediments are initially deposited horizontally in all directions. But with time, because of tectonic deformation, they would be folded. They would be folded. So we can try use this book. Now check that when we let me put it this way. Okay, can you now see that during compression we are folding? So these rocks were like this, but with time, because of tectonic deformation, because of compressional forces, then now we deformed these rocks. Now, look at this. We formed some synclines, which is why now we have these U-shaped structures. We call them some synclines or some synclinal structures, or or we say the greenstone belts, and they have got some syncline structures. Now, can you now see that we have got these greenstone belts which are surrounded by TTGs, or what we call the granite gneiss complexes. Now, I'm sure you must have guessed it right that the granite gneiss complexes, they formed from the sedimentary rocks that were trapped between these island arcs. Then during compression, these sedimentary rocks were going to be heated and tremendously being compressed. Then now when they are compressed like that, they form a granite gneiss complexes, which occurs right in between the greenstone belts. All right, now, which is why the greenstone belts are the ancient remnants of oceanic crust, and they occur right in between the TTGs. So the mineralization of the Barberton Greenstone Belt, or let's say the Barberton Greenstone Belt, is wildly mineralized, or mostly mineralized, in gold, stibnite, chrysotile asbestos, barite, cinnabar, verdite, magnetite, and hematite. But now, Barberton Greenstone Belt, we like it for its gold content, which is why we say the major mineralization is that of the gold. So the Barberton Greenstone Belt is widely mineralized in gold. All right, so which is why now these Barberton mountains, which is why we're having some mines in the Barberton region. All right, now this region is mostly mineralized in gold, but not only gold, but we've got some hematite, we've got some stibnite, we've got the chrysotile asbestos, we've got the verdite. This is a gem. It's a variety of what we call a muscovite. And I know when I'm talking muscovite, you are thinking of this minerals which have got cleavage in one direction. All right, so this is a variety of what you call the muscovite. All right, and we also have got some barite and and stibnite. All right, but now basically, why are we mining these minerals? All right, we know for a fact that gold is mainly used for some jewelries, it's used by dentists, and then, but now mainly gold is used as what we call foreign exchange. I know you know what we call forex, so but please don't go there and rush into the market and trade gold. Trade with caution. All right. So nonetheless, enough about the gold. But now also cinnabar. Cinnabar, we know we widely mine it to produce the liquid mercury. All right. To produce the liquid mercury, and what do you call the barite? What do you call the barite? So the barite is mainly used as the weighing agent in drilling fluids in the oil and gas industry. So this mineral is used as the weighing agent in drilling fluids, all right, mostly in what we call the oil and gas industries, all right. But it's not, barrage is not only limited to be used as the weighing agent, but no, it can also be used for paints, for rubbers, for plastics, and some pharmaceuticals. All right. And then also these interesting stibnite. So stibnite, we know we extract what you call an antimony, and then we get the metal antimony out of stibnite, and then we use these for some technological and also what you call some industrial purposes. All right, so which is why we love the Greenstone Belt, because it is highly mineralized, but mostly with what we call gold. And we've got these theories, but yeah, we've got these theories. Some would say maybe some of the gold in the Witwatersrand it comes from the Barberton Mountains. Some would say the gold from the Barberton Mountain it's found right within some rivers, and it's what do they call it? What do they call it? I forgot this name they use, but we basically trying to say it does not undergo some weathering processes. All right, it was not broken down. So these are just some theories. All right. Nonetheless, ladies and gents, we really thank you for joining us into today's lesson. We really appreciate your support. Please keep on supporting us. Please on supporting us so that we build this channel. Don't forget to share this video. Also, if you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell below so that you keep being notified every time we upload new content. Until next time, cheers.